What's up guys, AJ here and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be talking about my first year in real estate and what I learned so that I could make over $150,000 in my second year of real estate. So stay all the way to the end so you can hear all the lessons I learned in my first year. The first thing I want to talk about is why I got my real estate license. You see, when I was in high school, I read a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, and it taught about the idea of passive income, the idea of financial freedom. And at the time, I was 25, 26 before I got my real estate license, and I was running a painting company, exterior, interior. I had a couple painting crews going, and it was a real struggle. It was a lot of hard work, and I wasn't really getting ahead. But in the back of my mind, I always had this idea that I wanted to invest in real estate so that I could live this financial freedom-driven lifestyle. And the painting company was not getting me anywhere closer to my goals. So I was with my wife at her cousin's property in West Virginia riding a four-wheeler, and I happened to break my leg. Going back to North Carolina the following week, what I discovered getting back to North Carolina a few days later was I had this book on my bookshelf called The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. Now, I had some extra time to get some reading done because I was on the couch, laid up. I couldn't go out and visit my crews as much. I couldn't go out and do as many painting estimates because I was on crutches. So I had some extra time to read. And I'm an avid reader. When Borders and Barnes & Noble were closing stores 10, 15 years ago, I bought a lot of books and didn't yet have a chance to read them all. So I picked up the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, and what I discovered was that you could become a real estate agent and truly treat it like an entrepreneur, truly treat it like a business owner. So a month later, I signed up for my real estate courses, and at the beginning of 2013, I was ready to really become a successful real estate agent. What I discovered was it's a lot harder than I expected. I find that most agents actually discover that it's a lot harder than they expected. You know, about 90% of all new agents fail in the first 3 years. The good news is if you're investing in yourself by educating yourself through YouTube videos and podcasts, things like that, you'll probably be one of the 10%. So I got my real estate license end of 2012, and I was ready to find a real estate company to sign up with. The way it works with real estate companies is most of them really take anyone that they can get. At the time, I thought I was actually kind of interviewing for a job, later to find out that any brokerage in my local market would have been happy to have me. So I interviewed with two. One was a local company, the other one was Keller Williams, because Gary Keller is the author of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. So when I saw that book and learned what I could do as a real estate agent, I was a little biased towards joining Keller Williams. Later to find out the numbers and the data in that book doesn't quite add up to what's reality currently in the real estate industry. However, the principles, the foundation nonetheless, was really beneficial for me at the time. After interviewing with both brokerages, I decided to join Keller Williams. So officially January 1st, 2013 was my first year in real estate, so I'm on my 10th year now. Now let me just say, Keller Williams was a great experience for me. I was there for 4 years. I became a top producing agent there over time, and I learned tons. However, I'm now at eXp Realty, so I am at a different company now. This video is not going to talk about that. However, if you would like to partner with me at eXp, check out the link in the description and you can get some more information on that. I think it's important to talk about what I liked about my time at Keller Williams and what I thought could have been improved, because that's going to parlay into the lessons that I learned in my first year. So some of the things that I like the fact that I was learning from people who were selling some houses, right? I could actually learn how to fill out an offer to purchase contract. I could ask them, hey, you know, how did you negotiate repairs on a deal similar to this? Things like that. So I was getting real world knowledge, I guess you could say. I generally liked a lot of people at my office. They were really friendly. It was nice to see them on a somewhat regular basis, although what you'll discover at big real estate companies is if there's 200 agents at the office like there was at mine, typically only about 20 actually go to the office. But on the weekly sales meetings, it's, you know, kind of nice to see people, and, you know, you got the vendors that come in and bring in free donuts and all that. Not that I needed any extra donuts, but it was cool. It felt early on like there was some camaraderie there. It felt like there was people that I could lean on, and I really liked that aspect of it. I liked the classes that were being taught because they were free, and at the time I was just a sponge, so I was trying to consume all the information I could, and I'll actually explain how that hurt me in a second here. I liked the conferences that were being offered, and later to find out any agent from any company can actually go to the Keller Williams conferences. You pay the same amount. I believe it's still you pay the same amount, so it wasn't like anything of extra value from being at Keller Williams, but I did like going to their conferences. I tend to like going to conferences. I like to feel that energy. I like to learn from industry experts. So no matter what company you're with, I highly recommend that you're going to conferences, whether it's at your company, whether it's at different real estate agent coaching organizations like Tom Ferry. Pick your favorite coach, doesn't matter. Just get out there, get to conferences. I think you'll learn tons, and it's a great way to invest back in yourself. Now, some of the things that I thought could have been improved looking back on it, but not knowing what I didn't know, but if you're a new agent watching this, I think this would be very helpful, you going into your real estate career. I listed one of the pros was the classes. Yeah, they were free. That's why it was really good for me initially, because I could just go to something, sit there, soak that information up. But some of the classes sometimes were being taught by agents that maybe weren't the best person for that subject topic. Not that they were a bad agent, but if they were teaching a class, say, on buyer lead generation through the internet, and they get all their business from referrals, they're not an expert on it, right? They're teaching material that was written out from corporate, but they don't have real world knowledge on it because their business comes from referrals. So what they essentially do is they skim over the coursework that's given to them by corporate, and they end up talking more about how they do business by referral, even though the class is on buyer internet lead generation, and I'm a brand new agent in a completely new market because I moved from California to North Carolina, originally from Michigan, so I knew no one in North Carolina, and I wasn't going to get any referrals because I didn't know anyone. So that's just one example, but it seemed like that happened a lot. Within a year, I was teaching classes on how to do seller prospecting, expired listings for sale by owners, door knocking, internet lead generation. So I quickly became an expert on it, and that was pretty cool. But even just 12 months in, how much of an expert was I really to be teaching those classes? I like to think that I was, and to an extent, I was because I did learn a lot. But still, when you're at a local office taking the local classes, you're not getting the best in the nation at that subject topic, right? When you take online classes at big brokerages, much like EXP, we have some of the top real estate coaches, some of the biggest producers in the nation teaching on a weekly basis inside our cloud campus. And that's one of the things that I thought was superior at EXP when I decided to make the switch back in 2017. Another thing that initially was exciting to me was the office environment, and it ended up being a detractor. What I discovered as I started to grow my team a few years later, and this might just be local, I'm not saying it's all Keller Williams offices, but my local office, it wasn't really conducive to a high performance mindset. It was just in like an open concept with cubicles. It was quiet all the time. What I was looking for was an environment where, there was movers and shakers and people were making things happen, and not just, casually talking about random things in the office. I wanted to be in an environment where people were making their prospecting calls, people were doing deals. And this office environment was just kind of low energy. Again, the people there were great, enjoyed my time there, but what I ended up doing was getting an office across the parking lot to move my team into it so we could create our own culture, our own environment, and I found that to be hugely beneficial. We created stand-up prospecting desk, we had our team meetings there, we played music, we had a lot of fun, we made it our own. And that's something that you may need to do if your current office environment isn't really the ideal environment for you. Now let's talk about what my goal was my first year, the result, and what I learned. So like any agent, I would say most of you are probably like, if I could make $100,000, 6 figures in my first year, that would be pretty awesome. Well, that was my goal too. And what I discovered about 6 months in was, shoot, this is taking a little bit longer than I expected. I think about 6 months in, I probably had only sold one house, maybe did a lease, maybe had a listing or two, but I wasn't getting good momentum going back to the classes. Because I was taking all the classes and I had no focus, I was kind of taking the shotgun approach, right? Throwing spaghetti at the wall, seeing what sticks, without being an expert on any one lead generation pillar. I wasn't gaining momentum in any area. So as I was spinning my wheels, I heard about a real estate conference in Las Vegas, flew out there, and what I discovered was there is a system to selling real estate. There is a process. There is a blueprint that if you follow it, you can duplicate and model the success of others. At my current office at the time, I didn't see that path. I was asking people in my office, like, hey, if I make this many prospecting calls, how many appointments should I be able to set? Hey, if I pass out this many flyers in a neighborhood, how many calls should I expect? And there are answers for all of these things out there because people are doing it at a high level, but in my office, I couldn't find them. So when I went to this conference and I saw a proven model, I was like, sign me up, put the coach on my credit card, went back to my market, and I only focused on seller prospecting. I focused on for sale by owners, and I focused on expired listings. That was it. I cut out everything else. I went laser focused on those two things. And what happened as a result, I started to gain momentum. I started to become an expert at what I was doing. And by the end of my first year, I actually sold 6 houses. So still not that great. I did get Rookie of the Year though, which was interesting, probably largely because I actually had over 20 active listings going into 2014. I remember the week before Christmas, because my wife and I were going to drive back up to Michigan where we grew up for Christmas. I took 4 listings the week before Christmas when everyone says, oh, people aren't doing anything because of the holidays. Well, hey, a motivated seller is doing something today in every market. Doesn't matter what day it is. So that was pretty cool. So I had over 20 listings going into my second year of real estate. So what I learned was that once you get laser focused on 1 or 2 lead generation pillars, you'll get massive success. Consistent, focused effort over time creates massive success. And what's interesting about that is it doesn't take as long as you'd think. So I went to that conference in July, and less than 6 months later, I had over 20 active listings. When going to that conference, I never had sold a listing and had maybe 1 or 2 active listings on the market. All in all, that first year, I really made no money. I sold 6 houses, but I had spent money on Realtor.com that I wasted, another buyer lead generation platform that I wasted money on because I didn't know what I was doing. I spent money on signs, lock boxes. The split at Keller Williams is 64-36. You only keep 64% until you cap when you consider the franchise fee, so it's not a good split at all. So I really didn't make any money, but what I learned was invaluable, and thankfully my wife was working at the time because that allowed us to really make it through that time. I was still running my painting company about till April, so I guess you could say I was a part-time agent until about April, but I really was all in on real estate. I wasn't doing much with my painting company at all. I was checking on the crew here and there, doing a couple estimates here and there, but I was spending a good 40 hours a week from the get-go on my real estate business. So really what I want you to take away from this is to your first year, pick 1 to 2 lead generation pillars. It matters what those lead generation pillars are, but it probably doesn't matter as much as you think. Just make sure that you're following somebody that has a proven track record, model their success. It doesn't matter if it's geographic farming. It doesn't matter if it's producing content on YouTube. It doesn't matter if it's expired listings, door knocking for sale by owners, open houses, referrals, networking. They all work. You just need to follow a proven plan. So go in with laser-like focused intensity, and there's no doubt in my mind your first year you can make over $100,000. If I knew what I found out after that first year, no doubt from day one I would have made $100,000 my first year. So I'm going to do a follow-up video on this on how exactly I made over $150,000 my second year of real estate, so stay tuned for that. If you like my content, subscribe to the channel, share it with a friend, hit the like button, and if you watched all the way to the end, do hashtag the end, and that way I'll know that you are awesome, you stuck to the end with me. And if I can do anything to help you, please reach out to me on Facebook or Instagram. I'm here to be a resource and to help you become a successful real estate agent. We'll talk soon.